Okay. I hope also how to fix this because there's a waiting room now and I have to go back and admit people, so which is really okay. So we'll start today's class. Last time we started with the fourth chapter, and the chapter name is Transcendental Knowledge. We'll do a little recap of what we did in our last class. Okay. Okay, so this is chapter number 4. And these are the sections in the fourth chapter. We've done the first section A, Transcendental Knowledge about Krishna. And today we'll do the section number 2, which is applying Transcendental Knowledge to work. Krishna started the fourth chapter by telling Arjuna how he gave the knowledge to the sun god Vivaswan, and then to Manu, then that came down to Ikshvaku, and then so on. This is the disciplic succession. And then he said, I am giving the same knowledge to you, O Arjuna. And he gave the qualification also. Why is he giving to Arjuna? Because he's a devotee and a friend. So these are the qualities or qualifications required to understand this knowledge, to absorb this knowledge. So many people hear the knowledge, but it is difficult to apply or to even understand. But these are the two main qualities that devotees should have in order to understand the Bhagavad Gita. So there are two classes of men. We discussed this. There are devotees and there are demons. So, okay, hold on. So what are the two qualifications we just discussed? We just went over those.
Devotee and friend.
Devotee and friend, and what is the word in Sanskrit?
Bhakta and Sakha.
Bhakta and Sakha. 4.4 Arjuna is confused and he asks Krishna, how am I to understand that you give this knowledge to the sun god, because your birth was after sun god's birth, Vivaswan's birth. So we saw these two qualities also of Arjuna when he asked this question. Anybody remembers? So inquisitiveness is one good quality, which it shows that a person has that mindset to ask good questions. Also, patience. Yeah. And humility also. The way he asked, the way he put up the question is really nice. Not like, oh, how did you speak this knowledge? Not like that. Oh, Krishna, how am I to understand? What you're saying is the truth, but I'm not able to understand. So he's teaching us what is the right mood of asking questions, right attitude. And Krishna gives the answer that so many births you've also taken, I've also taken, I remember all of them, but you do not remember. And he calls Arjuna with two names, Arjuna and Parantapa, who remembers the meaning. So Parantapa, it's right here. I forgot to hide it. Subduer of enemy, which is powerful. Anybody remembers the meaning of Arjuna?
Pure-hearted.
Pure-hearted, wonderful. One who's pure, straight, and spotless. Then Krishna further describes the uniqueness of his appearance. Because Arjuna has now asked, see these wonderful these are like Bhakti Yoga verses, which are going to come in the middle section of the Bhagavad Gita from 7 to 12 chapters. But here, because Arjuna has asked this question, how am I to understand that you give the knowledge? While talking about Karma Yoga, Krishna has brought in some verses on Bhakti Yoga also. He's telling about himself over here. So he's a little tangent, like you're going on a freeway and then there is a 7-Eleven, right? You're going far distant, 4-5 hours drive, and then you take a tangent, take a little rest, and then come back on the road, your path to destination. So Krishna, in the process of describing Karma Yoga, a little tangent because of Arjun's question, and he's going to come back. So that tangent that Krishna has taken talking about himself will go on till the 15th verse, which we'll do today. And then he'll start from the 16th verse onwards, talking about Karma Yoga again. So 4.6, Krishna says, although I'm unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So this is the uniqueness of Krishna's appearance, and we compared it with the conditioned living entities. So he's avatari iti avatar, which means that which. So he doesn't take birth, but he
Descends.
appears and it descends is the meaning. So Maya has two faces. If we turn to Krishna, she liberates us. If we turn away from Krishna, she binds us. So through his internal potency, Krishna appears in this world again and again. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारताभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. And this was 4.7. And what does this tell about Krishna's appearance?
Wherever
The
there's
time. When does Krishna appear? The time. So remember this. When does Krishna appear? Whenever there is a religion which is prominent, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So the Lord, eternal Lord, manifests again and again, and his manifestations is not limited to particular time, place, and circumstance. And we spoke a little bit about the current period, which is Vaivasvata Manvantar. And this right now is the 28th Divya Yuga going on. Within this Divya Yuga, we are in the Kali Yuga. Just before this, Krishna had appeared in the Dwapar Yuga. This is the only Manvantar where Krishna in his original form appears as Govinda, as Krishna, as Nandanandan Krishna. Other yugas, Krishna also appears in Dwapar Yuga, but as Devaki Nandan Krishna, not Yashoda Nandan. So in this, first time I heard this, most of you might know how in this yuga, 28th Manvantar, when Krishna appears, he appears in his supreme same form also as Nandanandan, as Yashodanandan, but he also appears as Devaki Nanda. So there are two Krishnas. Who knew this fact? So two Krishnas who appear only in this Manvantar. Other Manvantars, Krishna also appears in the Dwapar Yuga, but only as Devaki Nandan, not as Yashodanandan. So to kill and annihilate the miscreants. But he also appears only in this yuga as Yashodanandan to attract us through his pastimes and take us back home with him. So this is such a special Manvantar. Within this Manvantar, also this, Kali Yuga, when we have appeared, because just after original Krishna appears as himself, the Supreme Lord, as Yashodanandan, also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So no other Manvantar Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears. And Prabhupada used to say just 500 years ago. So if you compare all these years, right, we are so fortunate that just now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appeared, and then we are here to learn all these teachings, the most profound of which is reciprocation with Krishna in love and going back to Godhead. Woman Prabhu, you have a question, or Dimpi Mataji?
Mataji, I have a question. I have two questions. The meaning of Manvantar, and also I didn't understand two Krishnas in this Manvantar. That whole thing, if you can explain again.
So Manvantar is within the day of Brahma. One day of Brahma, there is a kalpa. Within a kalpa, there are Manvantars. So we did this in the last class. I'm not sure if you were present. You can go back and listen to that class. We not too much in detail, but we spoke about how in one day of Brahma, there are these many manvantars within one manvantar, because see, there are 14 manvantars together. And each manvantar, there's one Manu who takes care of that. So 71 Divya Yugas within one manvantar, if you can see over here. And each Divya Yuga is all these put together: Satyayug, Tretayug, Dwapar and Kali Yuga. So that is one Divya Yuga, right? So this Divya Yuga, between 71 Divya Yugas of this Manvantar, this phase, the 28th Manvantar with these 4 Divya Yugas is the only one where Krishna comes on in the material world as himself, as he is in Golok Vrindavan, as Nandanandan or Yashodanandan. Other Manvantars, he also comes, but to kill the miscreants, like he came to kill Kamsa, right? That is one of his motives. But his main primary reason of his appearance is to perform his pastimes and attract our hearts and take us back home with him. So that is the reason why Krishna appears as himself. Yeah. So 2 Krishnas. One Krishna appearing in the jail. We all know, right, how Devaki and right Vasudev, he appears, and then when he gives instructions to Vasudev, please take me in the house of Nan Maharaj. There is a girl who's born, and bring her here and take me there. So he does that. This Manvantar, when this happens, this pastime happens, he's taking Krishna over there, but there's another Krishna. So Yashoda Maya gives birth to 2 kids, 2 infants. One is the Yoga Maya, another is the original Krishna. So when he puts his Krishna down on the bed because of darkness, and Krishna is so dark, right? And it's nighttime. He puts Krishna down and he merges into the other Krishna who's born of Yashoda Maya. So becomes one Krishna, he takes Yoga Maya and takes her back to the prison house. And now when Krishna grows up, he performs pastimes. So there are two Krishnas there, right? When Akrurji comes to take Krishna to Mathura and he kills Kamsa there, right? Only at the outskirts of Vrindavan, only that Krishna goes who's born of Devaki. He goes with Akrur. The other Krishna stays back. Nobody can see him. But you must have heard when Krishna says, I don't take a step out of Vrindavan. So he's always there. He stays back and the other Krishna goes. And when this was told to me, this was like many years back, Bhakti Charu Maharaj was talking about this, and I asked him this question. Then, if he was there, then we hear about and we read about how gopis used to cry, and Mother Yashoda, all the gopas used to cry out of, separation with Krishna. How is that? How are we to understand? Because Krishna was there. So because he was present, but they couldn't see him. And sometimes he would also reveal himself, but the gopis would feel that they are just seeing him because of their so much, love and separation. They're actually seeing him. So, and he was there. So that love and separation is greater than the love in union, because in separation, they used to crave for meeting Krishna more and more and more, right? They used to cry out. So that union was more, that feeling of being with Krishna was more in separation. So to taste all of this and to have his devotees experience this, highest love, that's why Krishna comes only in this Manvantar. And how fortunate we are that we are here in this Manvantar only. And only when the Supreme Lord comes as himself, as that Krishna from Golok Vrindavan, is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appears, to give that, or to make us understand that a pure love of Krishna. All right, is that good? Should we keep going? Yes, Sanjana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So I have this, like when you're explaining this, so does that mean that the Bhagavad Gita spoken by Krishna that we are learning is from this Manvantar and Yuga, and it's been spoken by Krishna to Arjuna in different yugas as well.
Different yugas as well. This is my understanding, but we can find out more because Krishna has said that this knowledge I've given to Vivaspan. So that means then in all yugas, when Krishna appears as that Krishna to annihilate the demoniac people, is when as Vishnu's avatar, only to annihilate. Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita. So this is my understanding. Yes, this is the original knowledge coming down in this succession.
Understood. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. All right. So, and then 4.8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya ch dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So, yuge, in each and every millennium, I do appear to annihilate the miscreants and to take care of the pious. So, what does this show about his appearance? So Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya was the time of Krishna's appearance, and this is
Disappearance.
Frequency.
a
Purpose.
little louder.
His reason?
Purpose.
Reason.
The purpose, wonderful purpose of Krishna's appearance, Paritranaya Sadhuna. All right, and then we go to the next one. This is on a higher level. Krishna comes to relieve his devotees who are afflicted by the agony of being separated from him. And when we cry out to Krishna, he enters our heart to remove. So that we are also miscreants within our heart. We have anarthas. Those are also, Krishna comes and appears in our heart to reinforce that which is dharmic and to remove all the anarthas, to purify us. So janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata tektva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, and this tells us what about Krishna's appearance? That the nature of my appearance is
transcendental.
Yeah, transcendental. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, Arjuna. So he talks about how his appearance is also transcendental, and the nature of his activities are also transcendental. And how is it that we also achieve that supreme position of going back, transcendence? When we try to understand Krishna in truth, we realize how wonderful is Krishna, that he descends in this world to deliver me, and that he loves all souls so selflessly, even if they're neglecting him, that he performs such wonderful pastimes with his devotees in which he subordinates his divinity for the sake of intimacy and reciprocating in love. He gives us the opportunity to love him and to relish his love eternally. So when Krishna sees that we love him, then he naturally takes us to a place where we keep loving him forever and ever. And who can know Krishna? 4.10, Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmanamam parshita bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhavam agataha. Being freed from these three, attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, taking refuge in me, many persons in the past have become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they have all attained transcendental love for me. So, qualities necessary for being a Sthita Pragya, Sthita Dhir Muni, sage of steady mind. This Krishna spoke earlier also, 2.56, and then same 2 lines Krishna repeats here, and these the context is qualities necessary for being able to take shelter of Krishna wholeheartedly. So these are the 2 sources in material life or world that promise happiness, material opulence, and sense gratification. And we need to be detached from those. Bhaya, also we spoke about how people who in spiritual life, because of so many philosophies, they get frustrated and they become impersonalists. They also cannot turn to Krishna. Krodha is when one's desires are not fulfilled, they're frustrated, or one thinks that Krishna does not help me or he does not care, then also they don't turn to Krishna and take full shelter. So Vita means to stay away from these three, or to be free from all these three. When one gives up, then they can take shelter and Krishna, of Krishna's lotus feet. Austerity of knowledge, Krishna speaks about jnana tapasa, understanding that how someone can be omnipotent and still manifest as a child, how someone can be all pervading and still be a person. So let's keep going. We did all this in the last class. We also spoke about these 9 stages in brief. We didn't get into any details. And this is the summary of the first 10 verses. And we'll begin today's class. So Krishna's dedicated devotees consider his birth and activities to be divine and eternal, and they thus attain him. But others who do not consider so and approach him with different goals, how does Krishna reciprocate with them? So 4.9, if you remember, Krishna, you can open your Bhagavad Gita's. We're going to do a lot of referencing today. So 4.9, if you look at the verse, Krishna says that those who know him, they attain liberation from rebirth. Right? The nature, transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance, one who understand, they also transcend birth and death. And then 4.10, last verse that we did in our last class, how to overcome misconceptions by being free from those three, right? Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. And take shelter and love him. And he also spoke about Jnana Tapasa. So now, why is it that all people don't attain him, right? How does Krishna reciprocate with those people who are not turning towards Krishna and freeing themselves from all these three? So Krishna says, okay, this is what we'll learn going forward. Do all paths not lead to the same goal? Why is there worship of other gods, devatas? Is caste system not exploitative? So this is what we're going to be learning in this section. And Krishna, the creator, culmination of all paths. 11th verse, Krishna reciprocates with the worshipper's mood. And then 12, 13, 14, 15, this is what we're going to learn in today's class. People worship demigods for quick results. Krishna created the 4 varnas. Krishna's work does not affect him. And liberated souls who work by understanding of Krishna. So this is also a beautiful verse, which we'll also try to memorize. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. We can all repeat. We're going to do it 2 more times because it's a verse for memorization. 4.11. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. One more time. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamstathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. Anybody wants to try to recite?
यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तान् तथैव भजाम्यहं मम वर्त्मानु अनुवर्तन्ते मनुष्या पार्थ सर्वशः. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. One more. Anybody else?
ये
ये
यथा
यथा
माम
माम-
गो अहेड माताजी
नहीं, प्रभु जी आप बोलिए.
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहं मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः.
Yeah, Mataji. Sakshi Mataji. Go ahead.
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहं मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः. हरे कृष्ण.
Look at the translation if somebody can read this.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. O son of Pratha.
Maharaj. So ye yatha mam prapadyante. As they, mam is me, and prapadyante, like he also used this similar word earlier also in one of the verses. Who remembers? Sharanam, he had used this word Sharanam in 2.49. And here also similar word prapadyante, but there he hadn't spoken about taking shelter of him. But now he's talking about taking shelter of Krishna. So ye yatha mam prapadyante. There it was. Who remembers 2.49? You can go back and look at the verse.
Nahi avaram karma. That one. Buddhi yoga
2.49?
dhananjaya. 2.49, no? I think. Dure
Yeah.
nahi avaram karma. Buddhi yoga dhananjaya. Buddho sharanam anvicha. Kripna phalaheta.
Wonderful. So surrendering to what? Their Sharanam, Buddho Sharanam, taking shelter of the intelligence, right? Buddho Sharanam Anvicha Kripana Phalahetava. This is the literal meaning, Prabhupada, because he's so compassionate. He does say surrender unto God, which is what Krishna means. But because Krishna did not introduce himself at that time, he did not say surrender unto me. Right now, he's saying Mam Prapadyante. So this is the comparison. Mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. Unto them similarly, how they bhajamyaham, how they worship me or how they take shelter unto me, tams tadhaiva. Similarly, I reward them. And mama vartmanu vartante, my path is what they are following. Manushyaha partha sarvashaha. O son of Pritha, O Partha, all human beings, Sarvasha. So, A and B, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham, is Krishna reciprocity. How Krishna reciprocates with the way we turn towards Krishna, to the degree we surrender unto him. Similarly, Krishna, to that degree also, is reciprocating with his devotees. Mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvasha. Krishna shows his universality. So we'll look at these two in more detail. So Krishna, reciprocity. Some people don't want to believe in God. They don't believe there's Krishna, so they are ordinary human beings, right? Not believing in Krishna. So Krishna lets them live as ordinary human beings. Then there are some who don't want to believe in Krishna's personal form, and they believe that that eternal impersonal feature of the absolute truth has taken a form right now, which is subordinate to the supreme unmanifest form. So then how does Krishna reciprocate? Because of their illusion, their activities also are all illusory. And people who are totally taking shelter of Krishna as to that personal feature of Krishna, surrendering unto him, then Krishna reciprocates by granting them his own abode, his own lotus feet and his own abode. So this is the various ways how people are taking shelter of Krishna or approaching Krishna, and similarly how he is reciprocating with them. Prabhupada says let's have somebody read this. You can unmute and read.
Those who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating their individual existence, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. They cannot relish the bliss of transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality.
Who are not firmly situated even in the impersonal existence return to this material field to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They're not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they're again given a chance to act on the material planets. Everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect. And Krishna reciprocates with his devotees in these 5 rasas Prabhupada says in the purport, let's have somebody read this.
5 rasas. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service.
He also says one devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, still another as his lover. Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. So if someone expresses affection, Krishna reciprocates with affection, and this reciprocity makes Krishna supremely lovable. When a devotee who is on the path of bhakti, even in sadhana bhakti, there is some taste, right? Where is that taste coming from? From Krishna, from his, from Radharani, who is the supreme bliss. She is the highest devotee of Krishna. So when we express some affection towards Krishna, he also expresses. And we, through within our heart, we feel that love and satisfaction. And that's what keeps a devotee firm, in taking shelter of Krishna. That firmness, that determination, that sincerity comes with the reciprocation of Krishna's love. And that's how Krishna is supremely lovable. Let's talk about his universality. This is it's not complicated, but it's a little more deeper. We'll understand this. So, Mama Vartmanu Vartante. Sonia Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I was kind of relating to one of the previous verses where Krishna told Arjuna that you are not the cause of all actions. So would you say that Krishna is the one who's actually choosing one to be the devotee? Because there are some people, as you know, one of the slides showed science, and they believe there is one universal power. So Krishna is the one who's putting those thoughts in one's mind.
It's a beautiful question. Krishna does say that he does not interfere with the free will of a person. That's why there's love, right? Within this material world, if you love somebody and that person does not love us back, right? We cannot force love into somebody, right? It's a free will, it's a choice, right? So Krishna has given us that minute free will where we have to decide. When he says you're not the cause, we will understand further in the Bhagavad Gita where he says you're not the only cause. Because of our previous karma and our desires, then the material nature also puts us in those modes, right? And then the highest is Krishna who sanctions. So these three are the causes: our desires, the Prakriti, right, which provides the tools, and then Krishna who sanctions. So these are the three causes. But Krishna cannot make a person or put feelings into a person towards him or to go away from him. That is our personal choice. That's why there is independence, and that's why there is misuse of independence also, where people turn away from Krishna and start doing sinful activities.
Got it. Thank you,
A
Mataji.
wonderful question. Let's keep going. Krishna's universality. Mama Vatmanu Vartante Manushyaha Partha Sarvasha. As everybody is on my path, does this mean that all paths are leading to Krishna? No, because people who are, he's going to talk about this further in the Bhagavad Gita, where he talks about how in the way people worship, some people will worship the Devatas, they'll go to the Devatas. Some people will worship the Bhutas and Pretas, they will go to them. Somebody worships the Pitris or the ancestors, they'll go to them. But people who worship me will come to me. So when Krishna says, oh, everybody's on my path, he does not mean that all paths are leading to me. He means that ultimately, when people are following whatever in this material world, they have affection for somebody or something. Where is that? They're seeing some opulence in somebody, right? Or something. That's how their heart gets attracted towards that. But ultimately, Krishna, from one of his sparks, that opulence is coming in that, jiva, or in that thing. And that's why we get attracted. In that way, everybody is following Krishna's path. So let's look at this. Krishna is not saying all paths lead to him. Depending on the objects of worship, people's destinations are different. So this is in 9.25 when Krishna speaks about this. Rather, he's saying that everyone is following his path. So not all paths lead to him, but everybody is following his path in the sense that it's the opulent, everything opulent reflects a spark of Krishna's splendor. Few people may be attracted to Krishna directly, but others get attracted to something, and whatever they find attractive, that attractiveness of that thing comes from Krishna. And in that sense, they're on the path to Krishna. Right? Krishna says the same thing. Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha in 3:23. Let's go back in the Bhagavad Gita and look at 3.23. In the Bhagavad Gita's. Yadi hi aham na varteyam jatu karmani atandritaha mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. You see this? Exactly the same two lines. But what did Krishna mean over there? If I don't do my duties, then Krishna saying everybody will follow, and they will also not do their duties, and they'll all fall down. So this was a literal meaning when Krishna says Mama Vartmanu Vartante Manushya Partha Sarvasha. Everybody is going to follow my path. So that's why I don't have to, I don't need to do any duties in this world, but I still do it to set the right example. So if he neglects his duties, others will also neglect and fall down. Right? Any questions over here? Yes, Harini Mataji.
Mataji, so when you said, or when it says that all paths lead, everyone follows me in some way, does it also include all other modes also? Like
All
other
other modes?
in the sense, all other, like in the passion, people who are in the mode of passion, or
And
in
ignorance, yes. Everybody is on the path to Krishna. But if you see on an axis, right, there's a zero, there's positive and there's negative. So people who are on the same path, right? Different, just imagine on that one path, there's so many people standing, but people may be mode of ignorance and they're drinking alcohol, for example. So on that path, they're going the opposite direction, but the path is one. Yeah. So they're moving the other way. If they turn towards Krishna and go towards mode of goodness and then transcendence, that's the right path. But they're on the same path, but going opposite direction. Yeah. A good question. Let's keep going. Okay, you can read this later. This is just a recap of what we did. If by worshipping Krishna, path of bhakti, one is awarded with whatever he wants, why do people worship others with material desires, right? Other devatas. So why do people go to others when Krishna reciprocates, right? Whatever we want, Krishna will provide, and he is going to reciprocate. Then why do people go to other places? People worship demigods or devatas. कांक्षन्ता कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्ता इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मनुष्ये लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा. Let's have somebody read the translation.
Man in this world desires success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, man get results from fruitive work in this world.
So, Kamshanta Karmanam Siddhim, desiring success in their karma, karmanam, or fruitive work. What do? Yajanta iha devata. They worship devatas in this world. So clearly Krishna is mentioning devatas are of this world. And when Krishna spoke about himself, remember, 4.6, he says, Ajopi san avayatma, that I appear through my internal potency in this world. So there's a difference between how Krishna appears and how these devatas are iha devata, they're of this world. Because when this world gets annihilated, they will also, they will go through annihilation. They're not eternal. Shipram hi manushe loke, manushe loke. Quickly, Shipram is very quickly in this world. Manushe loke, in this world, on this earth. Siddhir bhavati karmaja. They get perfection, which occurs born of karma. So beautifully, we'll understand the difference between demigods' worship and Krishna's worship. Demigods give quick results because they give what one wants. And Krishna does not give quick results because he gives what one needs. This is the main difference and a phenomenal difference, right? And we'll understand with examples also. The Devatas, they're not concerned with the ultimate welfare of the jiva, but Krishna is concerned with the ultimate welfare. And a beautiful example is how when a child goes to a shop, he has maybe $5, goes to a store, and he gives the money to the storekeeper. What does a child want? And he loves chocolates. Shopkeeper selling chocolates, one can get immediately, but may not be beneficial for the child, right? And the transaction, there is a motive. Mother, when the child asks for chocolate, she will bake something healthy. Okay, I'll give you chocolate. She will put maybe cacao powder, which does not have sugar in it, and maybe put some, jaggery or maple syrup, make it into a really nice dessert in the form of chocolate only, but it may take time to make and it'll be healthy. So the transaction is not the motive for this dealing. There is love and there is concern, right? But when we go to the devatas, whatever we're asking for, if we give them in the form of yagya, puja, havan, they're getting the puja done for them, and the devatas get happy and they provide whatever the person is asking for. And the big examples we've seen, Hiranyakashipu doing tapasya, asking for all those boons, right? So for Krishna, transaction is not the motive, it is transformation. In the life of Dhruv Maharaj, we've seen, what did he want? Quickly, can somebody in 2 minutes,
Kingdom.
can
He
somebody
wanted a
summarize?
bigger kingdom than his
Bigger
grandfather.
than his father.
Okay, little
Than-
loudly. Mohini Preeti Mataji, little louder.
Yeah, he wanted a bigger kingdom, bigger than his grandfather, Brahmaji.
And then what happened? So he performed austerities.
Yeah, then actually Narad tried to dissuade, in the sense he was testing him whether he was firm on his determination. And then he did the tapasya as per Narad Muni. And then Krishna comes and he touches him, and he doesn't know how to, but the moment he touches his conchal on his head, he recites verses in praise of Lord, even that 5-year-old boy. And ultimately he says, I was looking for the glass, but you are a diamond, and I don't want all those things for what I did the tapasya. I want you, I want your bhakti.
Wonderful. And similarly for a child, there'll be a time child grows up, emotionally also, mentally also, physically maybe also. I don't want these chocolates. I just want your love, mom, right? So for a devotee, when the devotee or sincere soul comes to Krishna asking for material benefits also, Krishna will take little time, but he is more concerned about transforming, of purifying us. So beautifully how Mohini Priti Mataji said, Dhruv Maharaj said, I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but now I've found the gem, real gem. I don't want anything else. So, and he also wanted to sit on his father's lap, and he wasn't able to. Here, Krishna makes Dhruv Maharaj sit on his lap and transforms his whole consciousness. Another example is when people are going through some pain because of a disease, maybe in the body, taking painkillers are temporary. They give temporary results, but taking proper medicine for curing the disease gives permanent results. So this is going to Krishna on the right side, left side is going to the Devatas, which is quick and temporary results. So going to Devtas does not purify one of the underlying desires, anarthas, and often increases the material attachments. But taking shelter of Krishna purifies us and help us redirect our love from material world to the love of the Lord of the world. Demigod worship for material assets or Krishna worship for returning back to Godhead. Various devtas over here who are also all worshipping Krishna only. The difference here between demigods and Lord Krishna, there are many. Krishna is one, part and parcels, he's the supreme whole. Always worship the supreme as obedient servants, and Krishna is supremely worshipable, created by the supreme, and he's the supreme creator, exists within the material nature, and he exists beyond material creation, delegated and with various grades of power to manage the affairs of the universe, whereas Krishna is the supreme controller, subordinate to the will of Supreme. He's supremely independent, have material bodies, hence subject to birth, old age, disease, and death. Completely spiritual body, no birth, death, old age, or disease, come under the influence of the three material modes of different extents. To different extents, completely beyond the influence of the three modes. They have temporary posts. Krishna is eternally the same Supreme Lord. Prabhupada says in the purport, the problem with demigod worship is the demigods of this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. Example, people worshipping powerful men to get some ministership in the government. They don't want permanent solution to the hardships of material existence, which is the real cause of trouble in this world, which is birth, old age, disease, and death. The Vedas say Nityo Nityanam, God is one, Ishvaraha Parama Krishnaha. The Supreme God is one Krishna, and the demigods are delegated with powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with different grades of material power. The link to the next verse, the paths of bhakti and jnana give liberation, but the path of karma leads to bondage. Does it mean that there is some inequality in Krishna, the creator of all paths? No, Krishna has created the four varnas for people who have particular desires for enjoyment. Krishna speaks about how he created the four varnas. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram imam vidya kartaram avyayam. Vidya kartaram avyayam. Have somebody read this?
According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable.
So, Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam, four varnas, I have created them. Guna Karma Vibhagasha, according to the quality or activity or work, this division is made. So, and I am the Tasya Kartaram Apimam, I am the doer of that, although I do this with the Kartaram Avyayam. Although I do this, know that I am the non-doer, being the imperishable Avyayam or the unchanging. Let's look at this. Krishna says, Maya Shrishtam, created by me. And whatever Krishna creates, it is natural, right? Krishna creates natural grapes and we take them and we ferment them years and years and make it into wine, right? So Krishna, what he has created is natural. So that's why this Varna system is Nachatur Varnam Maya Shrishtam. I have created this. This is natural. But we also distorted this system and made it into caste system. Somebody talks about caste system, we can talk about this verse, how Krishna, it is not by birth that we are into a caste, it is by these two things, guna, karma, vibhagasha, according to one's qualities and according to one's karma. I have created this system. And then Krishna says, Tasya kartaram apimam. I am the doer and I'm also the non-doer. So this is Varnashram system, natural division of labor that involves engaging people according to their nature, wherein whatever a person is good at, he is given the opportunity to do that activity. So most joyful and effective way to cooperate by engaging all the people in the whole society according to their natural strengths and talents. Thus, harmony is maintained and sustained. If we look at within a company, right, there is a post of a director, a CEO, a director, human resource, right, marketing, all these different divisions are there. And people who have the talent and the skill and the nature to do, they are interviewed and put into those various different departments wherever they are fit according to their skills. Similarly, this is a small crude example, but similarly, in a whole society, if you look at, Krishna created a system according to each person's skill and their nature. However way they are, that's how in a company there's harmony. If a person is made to do something he does not like, and the other person also made to do something he doesn't like, will there be cooperation amongst them? No. They're not even liking what they're doing. How will they cooperate? There will not be any harmony. So similarly, in a big society, so many jivas or human beings are there, and Krishna created these 4 divisions. Okay, one department for Brahmanas, one for Kshatriyas, one for Vaishyas, and one for Shudras. According to your mindset, your skill, and your nature, you are fit into one department where if you work happily because you love to do that kind of work, then there'll be harmony. Then because you're happy, you're joyous while doing your activities, you will also be in cooperation with other people. So this is the most joyful and effective way to cooperate. So what is it that makes different people have different natures and act in their own particular ways? Is it their own karma according to, it is their own karma according to what they have desired. So Krishna is not discriminative. Okay, one person, I'm putting all these skills and qualities and you can act so nicely. The other person does not have all these skills and acting differently, right? But it is not Krishna's discrimination. It is that Jiva's earlier karma that he's done according to his own desires. This is what, inclinations are there. And that's how they're put into these, accordingly, they're given a position in the society. So Krishna says, I am the Kartaram. I'm also a Kartaram. I'm the doer and I'm also the non-doer. What does that mean? Nothing happens without Krishna's sanction. In that way, he's the doer. Like a judge, right? He will give a person who has acted wrongfully, he will give some punishment, right? You're definitely guilty. And to the other person who he knows that is not guilty, he'll dismiss the case. Or he'll set the prisoner free, or whatever, the person who was taken into custody, he'll set him free. So, and Krishna is simply reciprocating according to people's action. It does not show his discrimination. So he's this way, he's the Karta also, he's the non-doer also. Any questions so far? Okay, we'll keep going. Let's have somebody read this.
Why all these duties under Varnashrama system? Krishna created this system, and therefore people following the system are on his path. It's ultimately meant for spiritual advancement in devotion. Guided properly by a spiritual guide, people will do all their duties for the satisfaction of the absolute truth. Samshidhir Hari Toshanam, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.13. Thus, people move towards Krishna from wherever they, speciality of Varnashrama system, from wherever one is elevated and ultimately liberated.
Yeah,
Hare
so from
Krishna.
wherever they are or wherever one is, so thus people move towards Krishna from wherever one is. This is the speciality of Varnashram system. From wherever one is, he's elevated and ultimately liberated. So people who are in the, the system of, within the system of Varnashram, who are laborers, right? Who like to do work with their hands and they like to serve others, then they do it, but they also are towards the path to Krishna, because whatever they're doing, they're offering it to Krishna. So each section of this division, they have a spiritual guide who will tell them what is the right way to work, what is the right destination. So you can read this. This is the purpose of the system: elevate from the animal status to human status. At least be a normal human being. Stay away from the 4 things that animals also do, right? Just living for procreating or for eating, for sleeping and defending. People could purify themselves by regulating their desires. Process of purification for one whose material desire inhibits him from directly approaching Krishna. So this is a systematic development towards Krishna consciousness. This is the Chaturvarnyam. The suffix ya in the word Chaturvarnya indicates self-interest in the 4 orders. The Brahmanas, predominated by Sattva, perform activities such as controlling the senses and the mind. Kshatriyas perform actions because they're in Rajas and Sattva. They perform actions such as welfare and acts of heroism. Vaishyas, they are also predominantly by Tamas and Rajas. They do farming and raise cows, and Shudras, they serve others. And in the next verse, Krishna has appeared in a Kshatriya family and performs activities obligatory to Kshatriya. How to understand his activities in this verse, Krishna will further explain how he's the non-doer and the result of thoroughly understanding him. What is the result of understanding him? Again, like 4.9, he said, the result of understanding him. Okay, let's see. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha iti mam yop vijanati karma bhirna sab padhyate. Have somebody read the translation?
There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the flutive reactions of work.
So, namam karmani limpanti. He says, I am not affected by any karma. Limpanti is to get entangled or affected. Name karma phale spriha, nor does I aspire for any fruit of my work. Iti mam yo vijanati. This one who understands this about me, karma bhir na sa badhyate. Such a person will not be also bound by karma. So similarly, 4.9, he also said, what is the beneficial effect for us? Let's go back and see. Who can tell us? 4.9, what did Krishna say? One of the verses that we're trying to memorize.
Janma karma cha me
Janma
divyam.
karma cha me divyam.
Evam yo viti tatvata.
Swadevam punarjanmam naiti mameti.
Arjuna. So there Krishna was focusing on how if you understand my nature, then you will also become liberated. You will also transcend. But here his focus is on transcending the karma, or bondage to karma. right? There was transcendence to the whole world itself. Here, karma phale spriha, he's saying, I am not affected. If you understand this, you will also not be affected by your karma. So similar, beneficial, how it is beneficial for us also. So nama karmani limpanti. There is no work that affects me. Krishna exemplifies by his example how an ideal karma yogi should be. So no selfishness, no desire for fruit of one's work for oneself. Again and again and again, Krishna speaks about detachment from one's fruit of action, right? Whatever you're getting as the result of doing karma, you should not be attached to that fruit. So that is unselfishness. Then that leads to no illusion. I am not independent and my pleasure is in serving Krishna. When one becomes selfless and understands the position of Krishna, naturally one gets away from all illusion that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, and one starts serving Krishna. Then there is no karmic bondage, there is no tribulation. So how do Krishna, if somebody is not muted, kindly unmute yourself because there's a little bit of background noise. They act out of love for each other. So even Krishna, when he comes in this material world as a human, taking the form of he's always supreme person, but he takes the form of a human, and his devotees, how both of them act, they act out of love for each other. The reciprocation of love is more important than the attainment of any particular goal, and thus they're not attached to the fruits of their work. Name karma phale spriha. I remember a long time back, 2012, when we started the Bhakti Lata sessions for women. I somehow, when I approached my temple president, I said, I want to do this program for Matajis, for ladies. Is it okay? Like I asked for permission, and then we sat and spoke about how we'll go about it. And there's one thing that he said I will never forget. He said, you do this program, you start this, even if 1 or 2 Matajis come, even if nobody comes, it is successful. And I was like, how will it be successful if nobody comes? He said, because you're taking the initiative and you have the desire to do it for Krishna's pleasure. Keep that in mind. Your desire should not be how many Matajis are coming and how everybody is really liking the program. That should not be the motive. The motive is only to please Krishna. So just the initiative. Similarly, Vaisheshika Maharaj says, just picking up the books and coming out is a success in itself, because you have shown through your action and your desire that you wanting to please Krishna. That's why if that is the mindset, then there will never be attachment to the fruit of the work, even if it's in service of Krishna. So, iti mam yo bijanati. Krishna says, one who understands this truth about me, then I'm not attached to any fruits. To understand this is very rare. It is very difficult because at an internal level, Krishna's motivations are entirely different. He's acting not out of any need or desire, but for the deliverance of everyone. I remember when we had gone for book distribution long back, and we were door we knocked, and this person opened, and we like, would you like to have Bhagavad Gita? We're from this temple in Laguna Beach. And he's like, if you have Ramayana, I will take it. Bhagavad Gita, I don't want. We were like, why? And he said, Krishna, he dances with so many gopis. That's not the way to act. So people judge Krishna like this. But if we understand what is the motive behind, first we understand his transcendence. We understand why he acts in different ways, only to reciprocate with love, to deliver his devotees to Krishna's only desire is to bring all his devotees back to Golok Vrindavan. So he acts he doesn't have any need, he doesn't have any desires. His motivation is just reciprocation of love with his devotees. Prabhupada says the created beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals, and all of them are subject to the reactions of their past good and bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and regulations of the modes of nature, but he is never responsible for their past and present activities. And the last verse for today, Evam Nyatma Kritam Karma Purver Api Mumukshbhihi Kuru Karmaiva Tasmatvam Purvaihi Purvataram Kritam. Somebody can read the translation.
All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So, knowing this, evam jnatva, knowing, understanding, or having this knowledge, kritam karma, do your work. Purver is previously. Api mumukshubhi is seekers of liberation, seekers of the truth. Api is certainly in previous times, those who were seekers of liberation, Kuru karmaiva tasmatvam. They also got liberated. So therefore, you should do your work. The purva taram kritam, as those in the past have acted. So you do, it's not repetition. It seems like Nyatva Kritam Karma, you do your work as they had done. So it is like they had previously. It's not like Krishna is repeating that you do your work twice, Kritam Karma and Taram Kritam. It is not, Krishna is not telling us to do your karma twice in this verse. He's talking about how the Mumukshubhi had done their karma, having that knowledge, and how you should now do your karma with this understanding that they did their karma without the attachment to the results, and they were liberated because of that knowledge. So you also do it with that knowledge. So who are these people in the past? It could be people in the past can refer to 3.19, 4.1, 4.2, 4.10. And we can go back and refer to all of these quickly. 3.19, let's look at the verse. Krishna says, Tasmad asaktaha satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hi acharan karma param apnoti purusha. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should work as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. So similar verse. Without attachment, people have attained that supreme. 4.1, Krishna says that I give this knowledge. Remember, he says, Imam vivasvate yogam. Proktavan aham avyayam. So I have given this knowledge, and this is flowing down in disciplic succession. 4.2, he says, Evam parampara pratam. So in this way, the great sage, saintly kings have received this knowledge, and this is how it's coming down in the disciplic succession. 4.10, also Krishna says that Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mamupashita, those who have been freed from these Vita Raga Bhaya and Krodha, they have also attained through their Jnana Tapasa Puta Mad Bhava Magata. They have also thus attained the transcendental love for me. So one of Arjuna's prominent concern is what? Fighting in the war will cause bondage due to sinful karma. And Krishna is yet again bringing back the point that you don't have to renounce the work, but attachment to the fruit of work. And that is how people in the past have worked and became free from bondage. Not going to do this. Having said that, one has to work according to the examples of previous bona fide devotees. Krishna will now explain why one's action should not be independent. You see how Krishna started speaking about himself because Arjun had a question, how did how come I cannot understand that you gave the knowledge to Vivaswan in the beginning, because your birth is junior to him. So Krishna started giving him knowledge about himself, and he said, understanding me and my nature, you will become liberated. But now he's also bringing Karma Yoga back. So he's coming back on the freeway. Remember that tangent he had taken? He's coming back and he's weaving Karma Yoga again. If you understand, if you detach yourself to the activities, you will transcend the bondage of karma. So both ways one can transcend the bondage over here of material world. One is very quick through bhakti, and one is little slower, which is karma yoga, which can also become bhakti ultimately once we start, not just by giving all our work or results of work to Krishna, but also in love for Krishna, we start to serve him and please him. Then that karma yoga becomes bhakti yoga. So Krishna is again weaving in karma yoga and telling us how karma through detachment also one can transcend. In between, he spoke about himself and he spoke about how we can transcend by knowing his nature. And this we'll do in the starting next class from 16th verse onwards, acting in pure devotional service, a karma which frees from reactions. Okay, any questions so far?
Mataji, I have a question.